In Part 4, Squad Levi and the Survey Corps battled the Beast, Armored, and Colossal Titan. They emerged victorious, but could not capture a single Titan shifter. And to make things worse, Levi received critical injuries. All they gained was knowledge of where Titans came from. And immediately after returning to the walls, the government demands Eren be handed over. Before we can begin Part 5, we must summarize the changes to the story that will impact the Uprising arc. There's three main ones: the survival of Squad Levi, the death of Historia, and Levi sustaining critical injuries. Historia's death affects the scouts and government equally. Without her, the scouts never learn about the race family, and they won't have a legitimate queen to place on the throne. For Rod Race, without Historia, he'll have to take the founding titan for himself, meaning his only objective is capturing Eren. Any benefit to Squad Levi and Mikke's survival is offset by the loss of Levi, and Squad Levi's presence means Armin, Mikasa, and John remain with their original teams, so they're quickly captured by the military police when the arc begins. Overall, the scouts are at a significant disadvantage due to the changes thus far. Their only saving grace is Hanji discovering where Titans come from, and Eren's dreams of Zeke and Grisha. This knowledge gives Erwin a way to persuade Pixis, even without offering a successor to King Fritz. Just the knowledge of an outside civilization trying to destroy the walls terrifies Pixis, but he also understands overthrowing King Fritz will ignite a civil war that will leave them even more vulnerable. To alleviate his concerns, Erwin draws up a plan that will leave King Fritz on the throne and allow the Survey Corps to seize control of the government. And with Zachary itching to humiliate the nobility, the scouts have a path to victory. The question is, can they survive long enough? On Squad Levi's side, Levi's absence is a sore spot for them. Petra had deep admiration for him, so seeing him in critical condition has left her shaken. Oluo is bothered as well, but is too proud to admit it. But the one taking it the hardest is Eren. He blames himself for Levi's injuries and the Titan shifters escaping. Eren's mind is full of what ifs. What if he defeated the Beast Titan instead of focusing on the mission? Maybe all of those scouts would have survived, and Levi wouldn't be injured. Eren also feels that the world is against him. When he followed the mission against the Beast Titan, bad things happened. But then when he didn't follow orders against the female Titan, bad things also happen. No matter what he does, he can't save anyone. And now, he's not making any progress in crystallization. So now his incompetence is also jeopardizing future missions. Eren's self-defeating mindset alarms Petra and the rest of Squad Levi. With Levi going down, Eren is humanity's only weapon. All of their hopes rest on him, yet he's completely broken by the weight of everything. Petra makes breaking Eren out of his self-defeating mindset a priority. She starts with small gestures. For example, a light-hearted exchange breaks out on whether the team should now be called Squad Oluo, since he's obviously the new leader. Petra, instead of arguing, offers Squad Eren as an alternative, since he's now humanity's greatest weapon. And we see Gunther and Eld going along with the joke, despite Eren and especially Oluo not liking it. In private, Petra emphasizes to Eren that if it weren't for his decision, they'd have all died against the Beast Titan. And even though he's struggling to master crystallization, no one would be talking about liberating Shiganshina if it weren't for him sealing the breach in Trost. Petra's efforts help somewhat, but Eren needs something more. Something that will convince him, even if he fails, even if he accomplishes nothing, he is still special. During another round of crystallization training, Squad Levi receives word from Erwin to escape their hideout. They then sneak around before getting ambushed by the Reeves Corporation's men. And since they never use a body double for Eren, he's actually captured, and they fight to recover him. Because none of the members of Squad Levi have Levi's experience, they struggle to navigate the walls as fugitives. For example, instead of cutting a deal with Reeves, they interrogate him, then use him to capture Saunus and Ralph. This results in the government dismantling the Reeves Company for their failures, then pinning the blame on the scouts. Squad Levi, in their panic to rescue Eren, had used ODM gear to chase the kidnappers through the city before assaulting Reeves himself. Using propaganda, the government uses Reeves as a martyr to destroy the scouts' reputation. And with all the eyewitnesses, plus Flegel Reeves being assassinated, Hanji has no way to flip the narrative. So the scouts lose the propaganda battle against the government. Since no one in the scouts knows about the Race family, the questions they ask the MPs center around why Eren's a target, and neither Sonus or Ralph know the answer. Sonus is in the assembly, so he knows of the Race family, but considering Kenny was surprised Uri was a Titan shifter, despite learning of Uri from another assembly member, we can assume Sonus and Ralph are in the dark about the founding Titan, so they'd have no idea why Eren is even a target. So when they're pleading ignorance, they're being genuine. The interrogations end in failure. None of the members of Squad Levi think of using Ralph and Sonus against each other. But despite the interrogation being a failure, Squad Levi is managing pretty well up to this point. They haven't lost Eren after all. Eld is currently calling the shots, and he's being cautious. By contrast, Levi during the Uprising arc was on the offensive, making alliances and laying traps to go after Erwin. But he was against Kenny, the man who taught him everything. Kenny would see through Levi's strategy, which would result in Eren getting captured. Because Squad Levi is in the dark, their primary objective is intelligence gathering, primarily on why Eren's a target. Interrogating MPs was the logical step, but that's led nowhere. Eld would ask Eren if he's had any visions that could help, but Eren hasn't had any since his fight with Zeke. Eren proposes they go after the church, as after all, Nick was so passionate in calling for his execution. Perhaps that was a cover-up for the church to capture him. Squad Levi agrees, and they decide Nick will be their next target. While all of this is happening, Kenny visits Levi and sees him bedridden and bandaged up, which brings back awful memories. The Interior Police were ordered to imprison the scouts, but Kenny tells Kaven that Levi's no threat in his condition, so they can leave him be. Kenny is frustrated that Squad Levi is evading him. He knows he'll never find 5 soldiers by searching blindly. But he also knows Squad Levi can't hide forever. They'll make their move before Erwin is executed. However, the confrontation never happened, though Kenny predicts correctly that Squad Levi would go after the church, as it was only logical they'd move up the food chain after capturing low-level MPs. But then he receives a secret message. The king has ordered the Interior Police be disbanded. At the trial, Erwin's plans succeed. He exposes the royal government, and then Zachary leads his soldiers into the throne room. But then, Erwin rises to his feet and offers the royal court terms. In return for their lives and status, they'll disband the Interior Police, and the Survey Corps will be responsible for security inside and outside the walls. The land-owning nobles will keep their wealth, but will pay increased taxes to finance future expeditions. Erwin can't topple the royal government without igniting a civil war, and he can't punish the nobility without triggering a revolt. So he focuses on his most pressing concerns, which is securing future funding, eliminating the military branch created to kill scouts, and gaining leverage in future conflicts against the nobility. The royal court protests the Interior Police being disbanded, as it means Erwin can kill them when it's advantageous to him. But for now, they have no choice but to accept. The agreement at least maintains the status quo, and that's preferable to being killed in a civil war. And they just have to stay quiet until Erwin makes his move. The Interior Police are disbanded, but Kenny goes into hiding with Erwin, and since Erwin is avoiding a confrontation with the nobility, Erwin is able to safely remain in the shadows while planning his next move. Squad Levi resumes Eren's crystallization training, but since Eren never consumes the serum, he makes little progress, so the Survey Corps delay retaking Walmeria and begin planning the logistics of a longer operation where they transport building materials to Shiganshina. But then reports come in that the Gate of Trust was destroyed by the Colossal Titan, and this time the reports are real. The warriors grew sick of waiting in Shiganshina and launched an all-out assault. Reiner never destroys the Gate to Walrose, as Zeke is trying to lure the scouts into Trost with the threat that if they don't come, his titans will slaughter the citizens of Trost and Reiner will destroy the second gate, forcing them to abandon Walrose. Zeke wants a quick battle. He does not want to get trapped inside the walls again. At the time of the attack, Erwin was at the capital. Now that the interior police was disbanded, he is working with Zachary to rebuild the military police using soldiers loyal to them versus corrupt ones who are loyal to the crown. Erwin was correct to assume that increased taxes on the nobility wouldn't incite a rebellion, but it did make them resentful and more likely to side against him in a conflict. And if, for example, Erwin and the Survey Corps left Walsina, the nobility would reassert control, reform the interior police, and then attack him when he returns. Remember, the public hates the Survey Corps right now, so Erwin's only leverage is force, and that goes out the window if the scouts exit Walsina. This is why he and Zachary are working so hard to strengthen the military police. It's to keep the nobles in check, even when the scouts are away. Secretly, Zachary is hoping all of this is a first step to toppling the nobility and allowing him to punish them. Unfortunately for him and Erwin, all of this won't be enough. Unless the scouts win a decisive victory that swings public opinion in their favor, they'll be in for another fight when they return. Despite everything, Erwin does see this attack as an opportunity. The Survey Corps can face the Titan Shifters on their territory versus in Shiganshina, which is deep in Titan territory. This is their best chance to capture all of them. In part 6, we'll cover the battle with the warriors, and we'll either set the stage for the Marley arc, or reach the end of this What If series on what would happen if Squad Levi survived.